there's so much about Connor. Like he's such a rich character, and he's so new, right? Like with every numbered sequel of Assassin's Creed, we introduce a new character, and really with Connor, we're kind of starting, from square one again, right? Because we're introducing this new character. It's for each numbered sequel, we introduce a new character. So it's actually the perfect entry point if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game before. Like you can't let the 3 fool you.
Okay.
Because you're going to learn about Connor's history, because he's Native American, but he's also half British descent. So he's a very complex character. He has a lot of things going on with his heritage and coming to grips with who he is and what his place is in this unfolding story it's massive in scope, right? The American Revolution was a huge moment in history, especially for the United States.
Yes. Well, that's very cool. And so now we've heard a little bit about Connor and the assassin side. So what about the Templars? What can we expect from them?
Well, and that's the trick, is because we've had we talked a lot about what the Templars are doing, right? And the goal is not to so much have like, okay, so here you have the colonial militia, these are the assassins, and then you have the British Empire, and those are the Templars. It's not like that at all. Like
really?
The history of Assassin's Creed is the history of this ancient conflict between assassins and Templars, but they're always operating behind the scenes. They're always on both sides of each of these conflicts, and these it's really just the backdrop, right? So there's the American Revolution that's going on, and then there's like the puppeteers behind the scenes that are like pulling all the strings. But those puppeteers are both assassin and Templar, right? So it's really the sort of hidden history. We're going to show you the American Revolution in a way that you've never seen it before. We're going to tell you the real story about some of the motivations of the heroes and the villains of that era.
Wow. And you just said like that there can be assassins and Templars on the same side of the Revolutionary War, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
I can only imagine that that's going to create a lot of drama. Oh, man.
Yes.
All right, and then what else can you tell us? Can you tell us anything about the new engine, the Anvil engine?
Yeah, actually, so our new engine is Anvil Next. And there are basically 3 major improvements that Anvil Next brings to Assassin's Creed 3. One is a weather system. There will be a fully functioning weather system.
Nice.
And so you'll have snow, you'll have rain, you'll have all of those different things. And that's something we've never seen before in an Assassin's Creed game. We have day and night cycle, but now we have like seasons.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Like literally cold. It's going to get cold and snow, right? I can expect that?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and actually the thing is that we really paid very close attention to the way the character interacts with the snow. So you leave footprints in relatively shallow snow, but you'll actually get sunken into really deep snow. So a part of that is, trying to pick out the way that you're going to navigate through these different terrains, and that's where, the sort of climbing and like jumping and leaping and doing all these sorts of parkour moves through the trees comes in handy. Because when there's really, really deep snow, it's going to be much, much faster for you to navigate through the trees. Connor is very, very good at that. So that's one of the major improvements for Anvil Next. Another major improvement for Anvil Next is the crowds. Assassin's Creed, the series, has always been known for having an open world and having these incredible crowds, this crowd life. There's all these non-player characters who are living and doing and that sort of thing. But it's been somewhat limited. It doesn't seem like it because it's certainly more people on the screen than usual.
Yeah.
But with Assassin's Creed 3, we're showing a war for the first time, right? Previous Assassin's Creeds have been, in cities and towns and all these different things, but this is a battlefield where you'll have thousands of soldiers, and each of those soldiers has their own motivation, their own things that they're sort of doing. So while some of those soldiers are fighting very courageously, others of those soldiers might be completely losing it, right?
Wow.
And all of that is going to be going on in the battlefield. You could see it everywhere that you look. There's just these, I believe it's 2,500 non-player characters that we can have on the screen at the time. Yeah, it's super impressive. Anvil Next is amazing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So then there's also the third thing that Anvil Next does, that I'm totally blanking on right now.
That's okay. We'll figure it out later. That sounds good. But so far, I mean, I'm stoked about that new graphics engine. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
fantastic.
a lot of fun.
Well, you see, the thing is that it doesn't even just stop at the graphics, honestly.
Really?
Like it's a total game engine. So everything from the AI to to the seasons and things like that. It's not. I mean, and that's the thing is that Assassin's Creed has always been a gorgeous game. Like as far as
Yeah.
improving on the graphics engine, we made some improvements with Revelations, but it's one of those few games where the reward is reach high point and see the vista, right?
Yeah.
That it's always been a trademark. We have a gorgeous game, and I'm not saying that to be like, oh, our game's totally rad looking, but it's one of my favorite things about the game. It's just the attention that's paid to the art direction and the quality of the graphics.
Wow, well, I'm excited to see it. That sounds amazing. I like that. And then I hear that this is one of the biggest games that Ubisoft has put together with studios around the world working on it. So who's in charge of that, and how do they coordinate all this?
Well, actually, we have several teams around the world, and for the past few years, when we've been making Assassin's Creed games, we started branching out more and more, and including more Ubisoft development teams in Singapore, in Quebec, in Romania, just tons and tons of teams. And we're at a point now where it's kind of crazy. And our senior producer, Francois Pellan, holds all of that stuff together. I'm not exactly sure how. He's an insane mastermind, but there's so many like whirling parts at any point threatening to collide with each other. But he really keeps all that stuff together. I assume Microsoft Excel plays a part in that.
That's good.
But yeah,
that's a good way to keep everything in order, spreadsheets.
Yeah,
I'm a
really
big spreadsheet person, I like that.
Well, it's seasoned management staff. We've been doing this for a while, and everybody knows what their role is, and everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and there's just such an incredible will on the part of the team to make this the most impressive Assassin's Creed game ever. Been working on it for quite a while, honestly. Like, it will be 3 years by the time the game is actually released. That will have gone into.
Wow.
Yeah, and like literally hundreds of developers, most of whom have had experience on previous Assassin's Creed games, previous Ubisoft games. It's a very, very dedicated, very, very veteran team that's working on this.
Wow. Well, I don't know, guys. I really want to play this game like right now. Like right now.
Me too.
Can we just play it?
Not yet. Not yet.
Darn.
Soon, I promise. October 30th, everyone will be able to play it.
October 30th. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I know. The wait is killing even me.
I know, right? Well, that's all the questions that I had, but we have a number of questions from the community that I'm going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. All right, we're
Nice.
going to start with a question from Alejandro. Actually, we're not going to. We actually answered that. That was about the environments and the seasons changing. And we did cover that the Anvil Next engine will definitely have seasonal changes, which I'm stoked about. I'm really excited about that. We have a question from Matthew. How will the combat in the upcoming game be approved upon, and will there be revamps to the counter-attack system?
This is a question we get a lot of times, actually.
Yeah?
So the combat really revolves around Connor and who Connor is as a character. Connor uses a dual-wielding fighting style. It's a two-handed fighting style, and it's incredible. He is a dual-wielding master. Every single time that he does a move, he's got a weapon in each hand, and he makes use of them constantly. Really, the major thing is, you mentioned counterattacks in the question.
Yeah.
That is the most impressive thing. We've really streamlined it so that the combat system is more focused on less of what Assassin's Creed used to be like with the blocking and the parrying. It's much more reactive now. We've spent a lot of time throughout the series of games trying to refine that process. And every single time we get a little bit closer. And with Assassin's Creed 3, we have totally nailed it. Connor's combat is the most fluid. He just he's like a liquid snake that just flows between each and every enemy. He's incredible, and you can see from the announcement trailer exactly what we're going for. Like, it's totally laid out. Like, he is a destroyer. He's super vicious, super brutal in combat. He's using both hands. He's an expert. So yeah, definitely the combat system is one of those things that we just took and we're just like, okay, we've made this progress, from game to game to game. How are we going to take this and just like, we have this arc, we're going to exponentially increase it.
Yeah.
Well, how do we take it to like several levels beyond what we, have traditionally done? And the team has really, really nailed it.
Yeah, he seems very rugged from the trailer that we see here.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems so different from Ezio with his bravado, and then Altair from the very beginning. He's a completely different character, and I'm so excited to learn more about him and actually play as him. He's a dual wielder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He will have like a tomahawk and a knife, or, like a tomahawk and hidden blade. The hidden blade is back.
I was about to ask that.
The hidden blade is definitely back. So yeah, he'll also have a bow and arrow too. For like long range, like stealthy kills. He'll have dual pistols that he can wield. Yeah, he has a tremendous arsenal of weapons.
That's so cool. I'm so excited. Awesome. And then we have a question from Derek. His question is, since the game will take place around New York and Boston, will battles like Bunker Hill, Saratoga, and other decisive battles in the area be represented in some form, whether it's just references or actual, you see the battle, or you interact in the battle, in game? Will they definitely have that?
Oh yeah, definitely. No, they're, as I mentioned, one of the major improvements of Anvil Next is being able to have all of those characters on the screen at once, all doing their own like interactive kind of like thing, right? And of course, like, what better way to spend it than on these epic, historic battles?
Yeah.
I can't say exactly which battles that we might have in the game because don't want to totally tip our hands. But another part of that, though, is that Connor is involved in the war between the Assassins and the Templars.
Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily he's not enlisted in the colonial militia. He's not a British sympathizer. He's not either of these things. He's got his own conflict. So you will see those battles going on, but Connor has his own agenda. Connor has his own objectives that he's trying to accomplish. And what will be interesting about that is, as has always been the case with Assassin's Creed, is you'll see him move sort of like in the shadows, behind the scenes, like doing what he needs to do in order to accomplish his objectives and the objectives of the Assassins. Now, traditionally that has been, a very like political, very, with Ezio, he was always, dealing with the Borgias. He was dealing with the Ottomans versus the Byzantines. All these different things, but Connor will be dealing with these things in the middle of a war, like in the middle of a war zone. And the American Revolution was a war where some really devastating things were introduced.
Yeah.
For the first time, we had a war on a scale where just like the carnage that could be sort of meted out was beyond anything that anyone had ever seen before. And really, one of the things that we have in the booth is we have several posters kind of depicting like really what the status of technology was at the time, because the technology that was used to make war and just kill people in huge numbers was so much further advanced than, say, combat medicine.
Yeah.
So you
That's
end
a
up
good point.
Yeah, you end up with like this really compelling, but then also very gruesome setting. And Connor is going to have to move through it and deal with that, all while accomplishing his own objectives that may not necessarily sync up with what the colonial militia wants to do. It may not sync up with what the British Empire has in mind for the colonies.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha. And I just actually thought of a question dealing with, the rich history of the setting that they're in, the American Revolution and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any, very famous NPCs that we can interact with as Connor?
Oh gosh, there are, and I'm trying to think of which ones that we've announced, because there are some that we have not announced, and if I say them, our PR department will totally assassinate me. But I know that we've announced George Washington. You see him.
Yes.
You see him in the announcement.
He's in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a major figure. He's a major figure in the game. But as far as like how Connor will interact with George Washington, we're gonna have to wait a little while and see how that plays out, right?
Oh man. Oh man. Gosh, I'm just so excited. All right, and then we have a final question from our community. This is from Joe, and he asks, will Desmond have a more prominent role in this game?
You know, it's funny because we get a lot of questions about Desmond
Yeah.
and about the present storyline. We know that it's really the foundation that Assassin's Creed is built on, and we have confirmed that Desmond will be in the game.
Awesome.
And we'll have more details on that in a little bit, but for right now, because Connor is so new, we really want to focus on introducing people to Connor and getting them comfortable with him, and like so that they know who Connor is, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with Connor.
That's true, and I wonder if the transition from Ezio to Connor will be hard, because Ezio had 3 games, dedicated to him, and you saw him through so many decades of his life. So it's nice to see Connor and have a brand new hero figure, but it's also kind of sad to really say goodbye to Ezio, for the time being.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. No, I remember at the with Revelations, it was a very bittersweet game to play. I mean, I've been a fan of Assassin's Creed for longer than I've been a community developer, honestly.
Wow.
So yeah, to play through that entire series, and you really get to play him from the beginning of his life right up until his final days. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss Ezio. He's amazing.
Absolutely.
He's amazing.
Absolutely. And before we end the program, I want to ask you a little bit about the Assassin's Creed cosplay competition that we have going on here.
Yes.
Can you explain what's going on and like the timeline for it for PAX?
Yeah, sure. So all day today, the first day of PAX, we have been inviting cosplayers that are cosplaying as Assassin's Creed characters. We've had so many characters. We've had some Altairs, we've had Ezios, we've had multiplayer characters. Some really, really stellar cosplayers show up, and we've taken their picture at the booth. And so what we're going to do now is, in just like a half an hour, I think actually, we're going to post all their photos up online on Facebook at facebook.com/Assassin's Creed. And what will happen then is, so we'll have this great big album with all the different cosplayers, and what we want people to do is we want them to click like on their favorite cosplayer. And what's going to happen is you have a voting period from now, well, not now, but in a half an hour, from like 6 p.m. Until Sunday at noon, where we will choose the top 10 cosplayers who were liked in the Facebook album, and then those will be our finalists, and we'll announce the winners at noon. We'll have 3 winners, and the grand prize that these cosplayers have a chance to win is Ezio's Fury statuette. It's huge, actually. I have it on my desk.
Oh, wow.
Back in Montreal. Yeah, it's enormous. It's an Ezio's Fury statuette. It's a polyresin statuette depicting Ezio from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and he's like leaping up like.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and it'll be signed by the art director Mohammed Gambouz, who developed that statuette for us. And then, in addition to that, we'll also have some Astro 840 headphones with custom Assassin's Creed 3 speaker tags.
Very nice.
Will look just like this, actually. This is Assassin's Creed logo. And then, of course, all the participants in the contest received sewing kits.
That's actually useful.
Yeah, it's cosplay. So they get sewing kits with the Assassin's Creed logo on them, figured.
That's awesome.
Well, it's funny because whenever we have like a contest or something like that, where they're just like, all right, we want to give a participant prize so that everybody walks away with something. I mean, cosplay is such a dedicated thing. It's something that you have to spend like so much time and so much effort on.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that they walk away with something. Spend all that effort and all
That's
that work.
true. Some of these outfits are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I've seen them walking around. Every time I see an assassin, I'm like, you got to go to the Assassin's Creed 3 booth and sign up for this competition. That's incredible.
So impressive. I stand, like, honestly, our community is so fantastically creative.
Oh, yeah.
I'm awed on a daily basis by the amount of art and music and short films and cosplay and every single type of media you can think of. There are Assassin's Creed fans making Assassin's Creed content out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I kind of feel like it's impossible to keep on top of it You know, like there's just so many people out there that are so creative, and honestly, the development team is so inspired by the community. It's such an amazing feedback loop to see those two things working together. Every day we have emails go around to the entire team where it's like, look at what this person did, look at what that person did.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you know, it gives you the warm fuzzies to see that.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that feedback actually gets through to you guys, and you guys are able to pass it around and maybe even pull ideas from it too.
Oh yeah,
that's
well,
incredible.
It's definitely part of my job to make sure that everyone is aware of how loved they are. You know?
I think you do a great job of that too. You are like a star attraction on the show floor. People are always asking, "Where's UbiGabe? Where's UbiGabe? I need a picture." So you're definitely like a little mini Assassin's Creed star walking around here.
I do my best.
It's cool. But I think that's all the time we have for right now. Thank you so much, UbiGabe, for joining me and letting me ask you so many questions about Assassin's Creed 3.
Thank you very much for having me, Saber.